Hello, my happy Crumpin' Wargamers. I am pretty freaking thrilled because we just got big news from Games Workshop in their most recent meta watch. They had Josh Roberts on and they were talking about a huge shakeup to the meta, which I needed. Normally, I don't make videos about news, but this one was so darn exciting because the entire game is about to get radically reworked, and it's going to give us another year of extremely interesting, fun things that we're going to have to unravel and how we're going to get to play this game in new and exciting ways. So I just wanted to kind of go through the breakpoints because they posted a video, but there's no transcript of exactly what the changes are. So I'm going to break them down for you, everything that he said in the video that is going to be coming out. And spoiler alert, these changes are coming a lot sooner than you think. There is a rumored date, which I will also tell you. So the number one change that well, maybe not the number one change, but one of the really big changes that we're going to be seeing is that they are getting rid of the ability of OC0 units to do actions. What the heck is this going to do to the game? All right, well, it's going to do quite a lot of things to the freaking game. One of those things is suddenly Tyranids, which, guys, hold off if you're worried about Tyranids, because I'm going to give you some really good news about them as well. One thing is those spore mines aren't going to be dropping behind enemy lines, scoring deploy, teleport homers, and behind enemy lines, and you're going to actually be able to do something about that. So it's not like Tyranids don't just start with 40 points on secondaries, which once again, slow down Tyranid players. I know you think that you're totally screwed. There is good news coming for you. Number two, they're getting rid of the ability to advance and do actions. It doesn't matter if you have an assault weapon. It's irrelevant. You can no longer do actions when you advance. Number three, you can no longer action in combat if you have pistols. These are really big changes. Now, he didn't mention if vehicles are going to be able to do actions while they're in combat, but he did say that pistols and advancing are no longer, or assault is no longer going to give you the ability to do actions, which is going to radically change the game. Then the next piece of information that they dropped was Titanic units will be able to do actions and still shoot. This is actually something that I really like. This is a change that's going to allow some variety of builds, because one of the big problems that we're seeing with, say, things like Imperial Knights or honestly even Chaos Knights is that you don't see a lot of the big boys. And the reason for that is, how do you score points? You can't. I mean, you're going to waste, a 500 point unit doing an action, which means you're really screwed if you do that. It's a big problem. So a lot of the units that we're seeing in the game just are never really taken simply because you can't use them. However, giving Titanic units the ability to do the action and still shoot is actually very interesting, and it will perhaps open up other builds, especially when we consider the fact that a lot of our OC0 troops are no longer doing those actions. So let's take Chaos Knights for an example. The build that you always see is going to be 13, maybe 12 War Dogs, and then Nurglings. Are they going to be spamming Nurglings anymore? That doesn't mean that they won't take Nurglings, but Nurglings can no longer do the actions. And now big boys can do actions and still shoot. Will that allow us to see new builds that are really viable? I'm thinking it probably will. Now, I haven't broken down everything yet, so I don't know what all the new builds are 100%, but this is just coming off of what the MetaWatch article said, which is very freaking exciting. Deployment zones are getting changed around. One of the weird things is that we have two horizontal or weirdly shaped deployment zones. We've got the Crucible of Battle and we have the Sweeping Engagement. So they did say they're going to get rid of one of them. They didn't say which one they're going to get rid of, but they mentioned that there's no need for two horizontal deployment zones. And they're also adding a new style of deployment zone, which sounds very reminiscent of some of the Age of Sigmar deployment zones, where you're going to have your primary deployment zone, and then you're going to have a box somewhere else that you can also deploy in. So it's going to get there's going to be one really funky deployment zone, which is going to be actually really fascinating for the game. It's going to be basically radically different from anything we've ever seen, and I, for one, am pumped up to see it. Gambits. Gambits are completely gone. If you guys don't know what Gambits are, those are the cards that you draw randomly if you're super far behind and you're trying to throw the Hail Mary to see if you can actually win the game somehow. It was originally intended to be a catch-up mechanism in the game. So if you were screwed and your opponent dominated rounds 1 and 2 and 3, you didn't necessarily have to just quit. There was a possibility that you could catch up. Well, Gambits, the idea was awesome, but it never really panned out. It just didn't work. The Gambits were randomized, so you couldn't plan on what you were going to have to do, and then they were just way too freaking hard to score. So, I don't know. I think one was taken in competition ever. maybe there was 2, I don't know. But it basically didn't work. So now it's changing to secret missions. And secret missions are going to be much, much cooler. So what the secret mission is you're going to have 4 cards at the end of battle round 3, if you are behind. So if you're ahead, you actually can't take this option, which is interesting. But if you're behind, then you get to choose one of those secret missions. You don't have to tell your opponent what it is. Now, your opponent will have the ability to like look at what you're doing on the table to try to figure out what your secret mission is. But that's also going to allow you to try to play mental mind games with them to make them think that maybe you drew a different secret mission than the one you actually did. And some of the examples of secret missions would be 1, end the game with your warlord controlling their home field objective, or control 3 no man land objectives, things like this. So it's a cool thing. It will allow you to play for catch up. It will allow you to select what the catch up is going to be, which is going to actually impact list building a bunch. One of the really common themes about this whole radical shakeup, and I'm going to give you the date here in just a moment, this whole radical shakeup to Warhammer is they are looking at giving different ways of building lists, which I am here for. Okay, Chilling Reign. Holy crap, guys, Chilling Reign is freaking gone. So Chilling Reign is going to be the standard mission where there's no mission rule. Basically, every competitive tournament around there plays everything with Chilling Reign, which is boring. The context of 10th edition is that mission rules exist. And so what they're doing is they're ditching Chilling Reign, and they're going to make you play with a mission rule in every single game, which I think is sick. These little twists are going to change what you do in each individual game. It's going to make everything a little more personalized. It's going to tailor the experience to the armies that are... I'm pumped for it. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to be necessarily the exact same mission rules that we currently have. It sounded like he was saying that they're going to be new mission rules. So not necessarily, oh, you take a mortal wound if you roll a 6 to advance. So there might be an entire new batch of mission rules out there, but it's pretty dang cool. And one of the way that they were doing the mission rules is that they were going to apply action abilities to your battle line units. So remember at the beginning of the video, when one of the things I said is that OC0 units can no longer do actions. You can't advance and charge and do it, or you can't advance and do actions, and you can't do actions in melee with a pistol. Well, now some of these mission rules are going to give us the ability to have battle line units specifically advance and do actions, or battle line units specifically can do actions in combat. So it's really, they're making a huge push to get people to want to really include a lot more battle line troops, which I think is super healthy and super cool for the game. It's going to change some of this wild skew builds you see. It's not going to say that you can't skew build, but it is going to encourage a lot more mission play, and it's going to encourage including a lot more of the perceived common troops, which I think is actually very, very cool for the game. Because if you look at a lot of armies, there's basically no reason to ever take battle line. However, in the new season of Warhammer 40k, it's looking like battle line is going to be a good idea, and that is pretty darn awesome. We've got one really other thing to talk about besides this adorable freaking critter. Look at this sweet, sweet raccoon. He's there for your viewing pleasure. I think raccoons are awesome, and that's why he's there. Now let's get back to the video. MFM, which is the Munitorium Field Manual. This is where they give points updates, and the balance status slate, which is where they give rules updates, are going to be dropped with the new missions, specifically before July, which means we are going to get points updates and balance updates in June. The date that is being kicked around is June 22nd. Does that mean for sure June 22nd is the date it's going to drop? No, but that is the date that is being dropped around. But regardless, even if it's not June 22nd, you will get new missions, you will get new points, and new balance for the game this freaking month. I cannot wait. My birthday is in 2 days, and this was a great present from GW to me because I am so pumped up about Warhammer. These changes are going to go in. It's going to radically change everything that we are doing in the game right now. It won't change like the strategies and the tactics that you're using, but it will give us some new, interesting ways to play Warhammer, which is all we really want. Now, what do I expect to see in the balanced status slate? I expect to see certain things coming out like, I don't know. Boys in Green Tide are probably going to go up by points a little bit, especially with the focus on how much better battle line troops are getting. You're probably going to see more expensive boys for Green Tide. You're probably going to see Meganobs go up maybe 5 points. This is not leaks or anything. This is my own deductive reasoning. You're probably going to see some serious changes to like Admech and Tyranids. because Tyranids getting a huge nerf bat in the face of, like, say, Spore Mines can no longer do actions. Well, this is you're probably going to see some pretty big changes to Tyranids, especially since they've been lagging behind. So I expect to see some really, really fun and amazing things coming up with the balance status. Like, the points is really fascinating to me. I did not expect to see points updated. So I'm kind of thrilled to see that points are getting updated in June as well. I know it's a little early because we just had one maybe like a month and a half ago, but I think it's going to be healthy for the game. And I am all about more and more balance to make this game even more balanced than it is already. And remember, this is the most balanced the game has ever been. I'm having a blast with Warhammer right now. I cannot freaking wait to see how much more fun it's going to be in 2 to 3 weeks. So these are the changes from the Meta Watch. So if you were kind of struggling catching everything that Josh Roberts says in the Meta Watch, then this is what it was. 0C can't do actions. No advance in shooting, no advancing and doing actions. No doing actions in melee with pistols. Titanics can shoot and do actions. Deployment zones getting changed. Gambits are gone. Secret missions are in. Shielding rain is gone. Mission rules are awesome. Reworked mission rules. Reworked primary rules. More focus on battle line units. And then we're getting a MFM and a data slate in June. My grats and gets, if you like this content, please hit the like, share with your friends, and I will catch you tomorrow with a really cool update. I'm going to be breaking down the actual ability to stage your models. A lot of people struggle with this, like especially when you're playing melee armies, but this applies to shooting armies as well. How do I set myself up for future turns? It is one of the most critical skills for the entire game, and we're going to be going through it in depth tomorrow. So check us out tomorrow, and we will see you then. Happy company, everyone.